So we are well into November, which can only mean one thing: the holiday season is knocking at the door. And as exciting this time of the year is, it's also kind of overwhelming between all the get-togethers, stuff going on at work, and all the cooking in the kitchen. And sometimes we get so busy that we get stuck in a rut and cook the same thing year after year. Anyways, with that being said, today I'm going to show you how to make 4 very simple Spanish tapas to cook this holiday season to shake things up. Now the beauty of these recipes is that they're all done in just 30 minutes. Yes, you heard that correctly. 4 Spanish tapas that come together at the same time in just 30 minutes. But the best part, they're all loaded with Spanish flavors, and each one is made with simple everyday ingredients that you can easily find at your supermarket, folks. This is what it's all about: sharing great food with family and friends and enjoying the simple things in life. Really quick before we begin, a shout out to one of my patrons, Barbara Eastman. Once again, Barbara, thank you so much for being a patron of Spain on a Fork. You know how much I appreciate you. For the rest of you, if you're not with me on Patreon and you'd like to support the show so I can continue to release videos like this, you'll find my Patreon in the description box below and iCard above. Before we get started with our tapas recipes, I'm going to cut 1 baguette into diagonal slices that are 1 inch thick, which is 2.5 centimeters. Transfer the slices of baguette into a baking tray that's lined with parchment paper. Drizzle them with a kiss of extra virgin olive oil and a dash of garlic powder. And we're going to add our baking tray into a preheated oven, bake and broil option. That's the bottom and top heat, 210 degrees Celsius, which is 410 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're just going to lightly toast the pieces of baguette between 3 to 4 minutes. Once the slices of baguette are lightly toasted, I'm going to remove them from the baking tray, transfer them into a dish, and then set them aside. Alright, let's start making our tapas dishes. For the first recipe, we're making spicy paprika potatoes with a garlic mayo alioli. Let's begin by cutting 3 potatoes that are between small to medium in size into thin rounds that are 1/4 inch thick, which is a little over 1/2 centimeter. Then we'll transfer the slices of potato into the baking tray that's lined with parchment paper, and you want to make sure they're all in a single layer, that way they all evenly cook. Then we'll brush the slices of potato with a kiss of extra virgin olive oil. Season them with a little sea salt, some freshly cracked black pepper, and a dash of hot smoked Spanish paprika. If you don't have hot smoked Spanish paprika, you can also use chili powder here. And we'll add the baking tray into the preheated oven. Once again, bake and broil option, bottom and top heat, 210 degrees Celsius, which is 410 degrees Fahrenheit. For the next step, let's make the garlic mayo alioli. I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of mayonnaise into a bowl. This is 115 grams. Then we'll finely grate in 1 clove of garlic. If you don't have a grater, you can use finely minced the garlic. Squeeze in 1 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice, which is 5 milliliters. And add in about 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, which is 15 milliliters. We'll lightly season with a little sea salt and some freshly cracked black pepper. And we'll whisk it together until everything's well combined, and then set it aside. While we're waiting for the potatoes to finish cooking, let's make the 3 other tapas. For the second recipe, we are making Spanish fried almonds with dried cranberries. Let's begin by grabbing a small fry pan, heating it with a medium heat, and adding in a 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil, which is 60 milliliters. And we'll also add in 1 cup of blanched almonds, which is 150 grams. Now when you're frying almonds, you want to make sure you add them in there right when you add the oil. You don't want to heat the oil first, otherwise the almonds are going to brown too quickly and you're not going to get that beautiful crunch. And you also want to make sure you mix them continuously while you're cooking them, that way they all evenly saute. Now the almonds I'm using for this recipe are Marcona almonds, but you can use whatever almonds you like. After about 5 to 6 minutes, and the almonds have a beautiful light golden fried color to them, they are ready to go. You don't want to brown them too much, otherwise they easily get a bitter flavor. I'm going to remove the almonds from the heat and transfer them into a dish with some paper towels. We'll season the almonds generously with sea salt and add in 1/3 cup of dried cranberries, which is 45 grams. And we'll give this a mix, that way everything's evenly mixed together, and then set it aside. When you're making fried almonds, you want to make sure they rest for at least 10 minutes after you take them out of the pan. That way they can come up in temperature, which at the end is what gives them that incredible crunch. Moving on to our third tapas dish, we're making Spanish pinchos with manchego cheese and rosemary infused olive oil. Let's begin by grabbing 2 sprigs of fresh rosemary and removing the needles from the stem. And we'll roughly chop the rosemary. Then we'll add in 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil into a small bowl, which is 30 milliliters, along with our chopped rosemary. And we'll give this a quick mix and then set it aside, that way that rosemary can infuse into the olive oil. For the next step of the recipe, let's get the manchego cheese ready. The one that I'm using has been aged for 6 months, but to make this dish, you can use whatever manchego cheese you like. I'm going to begin by removing the rind, and then cutting it into thin slices that are 1/4 inch thick, which is a little over 1/2 centimeter. Then we'll grab a couple slices of our reserved toasted baguette that we did earlier. Add a slice of manchego cheese on top of each bread. And add a small spoonful of the rosemary infused olive oil over the slices of manchego cheese. Alright, let's move on to our fourth and final tapas recipe. We still have about 6 to 7 minutes until those potatoes are perfectly cooked. For the last recipe, we're making another Spanish pincho, this time with roasted peppers and a beautiful Spanish tuna salad. Let's begin by draining 2 tins of tuna in olive oil into a sieve with a bowl underneath. And we'll mix the tuna around to remove any of the excess olive oil, but you don't want to overmix it, otherwise the tuna easily dries up. And for this recipe, we're not going to be using the olive oil from the canned tuna, but by all means do not toss this, reserve it, and then add it over salad for an incredible dressing. For the next step, I'm going to add in the drained tuna into a large bowl, along with 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, which is 115 grams, 1 shallot that's been roughly chopped, finely grated 1 clove of garlic. Once again, if you don't have a grater, you can use finely minced garlic. And about 8 pimento stuffed green Spanish olives that have been roughly chopped. We'll lightly season with a little sea salt and some freshly cracked black pepper. And we'll mix this together until everything's well mixed. Then once again, I'm going to grab a couple slices of the baguette that we toasted earlier. Add 1/2 of a roasted red bell pepper over each slice of baguette. The ones that I'm using are jarred, and I did pat them dry with some paper towels beforehand. And we'll top each one off with our tuna salad. Alright, let's move back to our potatoes. They've been in the oven between 25 to 27 minutes and they should be perfectly cooked. I'm going to remove them from the oven. And let's start plating our final tapas dish. I'm going to transfer the garlic mayo alioli into a small bowl. Place the bowl into a serving dish. And we'll add the potatoes around the sauce. And check it out, all 4 of our Spanish tapas dishes are done. All of them so easy to make, made with simple everyday ingredients that you can easily find at your supermarket, and each one filled with so much Spanish goodness. Make these tapas dishes for your next holiday party and surprise your guests with a taste of Spain. Seriously folks, serve these 4 beautiful Spanish tapas dishes at your next holiday party and I promise everyone's gonna go wild because they're all so good. And once again, the best part, they all came together in just a little over 30 minutes. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button. Leave me a comment below, and if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button. Till the next time, hasta luego. Alright folks, it's a wrap. That was a lot of work, but it did get done in just a little over 30 minutes. Cheers. So good. Love ya. See you in the next video.